What's going on, guys? This is Sydney Cumby once again with yet another makeup video tutorial. Today I'm going to be doing a zombie prosthetic. This is a 3-piece prosthetic made by RBFX. You can get all of the RBFX prosthetics from motionpictureeffects.com, so check them out, guys. Alright, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm just fitting this prosthetic to my face just to see. It didn't really fit that well, but I sort of stretched it, moved it to fit. And now what I have here is some Prosaid, and what I'm doing is I'm applying the Prosaid directly to the piece this time, and then I'm going to put it on my face. And I'm using one of the bdellium brushes, Thomas Surprenant's bdellium brushes, or Surprenant. This is the glue brush. It's very, very nice. So if you want to check it out, make sure you go to their website, bdellium brushes, or bdellium tools, or whatever. And so, alright, I basically just slapped Prosaid onto this onto the prosthetic and just applied it to where I wanted it on the face. So none of the edges are glued down or anything, but I shall get to that pretty soon. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm beginning to apply the rest of the prosthetic, trying to get up under it and apply those edges. So, you know, if you've watched my other videos, I explained that you don't have to get right to the edge with the Prosaid up under the prosthetic. As long as you get close enough and then you apply the Prosaid on top of the edge, it will seep through the prosthetic and seal the edge of the foam. Because it's a very porous material, and foam will just soak it up and it will seal it off. And now what I'm doing here, I have a little bit of a damp sponge. Well, just a regular white makeup sponge. I just got it a little bit damp, and so I'm thinning out the Prosaid around the edges to give it a little bit more texture and just to take a little bit off. Because if the Prosaid is not dry, then you can most definitely thin it out a little bit with a wet sponge. And again, what I'm doing is I'm just going around the edges with Prosaid and this little handy dandy bent brush. One of my favorite brushes. I use this brush all the time. I kind of look funny right here. I only shaved part of my head. I didn't shave the back or the top, so I still have hair on the back and the top of my head. Got really lazy, didn't feel like it. So yeah, there's that. And this is like, I'm actually doing this makeup like, it's like probably 1 o'clock when I started this, 1 a.m. and I actually finished this makeup around actually, yeah, I was finished at 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. that is. So I was up all night doing this. Ridiculous. And still just adding Prosaid around the edges, just sealing off the prosthetic. Applying it to the edge. And again, if you're using Prosaid around a model's eyes, make sure you tell them to keep their eyes closed and do not open them until you powder around the eyes. I mean, the last thing you want them to do is get their eye, you could ruin a prosthetic this way too. Open up your eye and the eye glues to it, and it's just well, you wouldn't really ruin it as much as you'd have to work it off the eye and blah, 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 and then they'll probably end up getting 99% alcohol in their eye, blah, blah. So just tell them, make sure they keep their eyes closed and do not open until you say so. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm applying a little bit of powder around my eye just so that I can open it. And now I'm applying the other side. Good thing about these prosthetics that they have really, really great edges. So it's just super easy to not have an edge when applying these prosthetics. Sometimes you get an edge that folds over, but you can easily just get, you know, a brush with a little 99% alcohol and just work it out, and then it'll flop back out, so then you can apply it again. And so I have already applied Prosaid to this prosthetic. So there's Prosaid on the back side of this prosthetic, and I slowed it down here a little bit just to show you how I'm actually going to apply it. I'm just trying to figure out. I don't want to apply it to the skin like quite yet. I want to get it positioned just right. And if the Prosaid is wet, you'll have no problem of pulling it up and putting it back down. But if your Prosaid is dry on there, it's really going to be stuck to the skin, and you might need a little bit of 99% alcohol to lift it up. Like I said, this prosthetic didn't fit too well, so a little bit of my eyebrow was showing near the nose, but I found a way of fixing that. Again, just working some Prosaid around the edges, sealing this thing off. And you don't want to leave a gap underneath these prosthetics without Prosaid. If you leave a gap up under, then once you're making a facial expression or something like that, you'll see a fold, or you'll see it. It has to be stuck to the face to be able to move your face and look good while moving. So make sure you get Prosaid all up under it, and then the edges are last, and it's, you just basically put Prosaid over the edge. So that's not a problem, but just up under it, you want to get a full coverage of Prosaid or whatever type of glue that you are using. Alright, and now I think right here, I think I might be lifting it up with a little bit of 99%. Yeah. See, I'm lifting it up with a little bit of 99% alcohol because I noticed that it was like folding over when I made a facial expression. So I just lifted it up with another brush with a little bit of 99%, and then I applied some Prosaid underneath. And you saw right there, I was using my airbrush to dry some Prosaid. I do that very often. Yeah, there I go again. I'm using my airbrush to dry the Prosaid. Putting a little bit of powder around my eyes so that I can open them and they won't get stuck. Now I move my face in different directions to make sure there's no missing Prosaid up under the prosthetic, to make sure it's full. Right here I am putting a little bit of Prosaid on one of my palettes, and then I'm going to stipple Prosaid around the prosthetic just to give a little bit of texture, to blend it a little bit better. Even though these prosthetics do blend really well, I still sort of like the texture around them, just hide some flaws if there are any flaws. And you can always seal a foam latex prosthetic just with Prosaid and then paint over it, but I do not do that. I use packs because packs is basically Prosaid and paint. What I'm doing here is I'm using Bondo Stipple. I just have a couple of small places that I think there might be a little bit of an edge showing. And even if there wasn't an edge showing, I'd probably still use this stuff for just as an example on the video. So there are just a little tiny spots that I thought I needed to fill some edges. And this is Bondo, so basically it's like thickened Prosaid with Cabosil, or just mixing it with a plasticizer. This one has Cabosil in it, and what I'm doing is I see a little gap near the eye, so I'm just going to fill it in with a little bit of this Bondo. Just a little bit. You don't want to put big globs in there. You don't want to fill big giant gaps with this stuff. I mean, unless it's an emergency and you have to do it and you have no choice. But I'm just touching up a few spots that I might think, you know, and then I'll go over with a wet sponge just to thin it out a little bit, to blend it, you know. There really wasn't that many gaps. I mean, now what I am doing here is I'm sort of ripping up a sponge and I'm going to start applying the PPI paint to the prosthetics. I haven't put on my nose piece yet, and I didn't really realize this because when I decided to do this, it was really late. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just threw it together. It happens to me all the time. So I haven't put my nose piece on yet, but I will realize it as soon as I get this PPI on. And so I basically just tore up a sponge, and now I'm adding PPI paint to seal the foam latex prosthetic so that I can paint with other stuff. And you know, usually I just use a color that I want the zombie to be, but right now I'm gonna match my skin tone a little bit, and then I'm gonna go over with zombie colors. So I'm just gonna match my skin just a wee little bit, and then I'll go over it with an actual zombie color. So that's what I'm doing. And you can see that it is flesh tone. So I'm using Mels PPI paint because I have Mels flesh tone PPI paint. And I am just matching it. You know, it's not going to be perfect because I'm not trying to truly match it exactly to my skin tone. I'm just trying to feather it out past the prosthetic a little bit and just give me an overall sort of, you know, skin tone so that I can then just have a clean slate with the zombie makeup. And there I am. And now I just realized that I put my nose piece on, so now I'm gonna sort of match where I want this nose piece. And it's just you know, it's just a simple nose bridge, you know, like the you know, cartilage or bone piece of the zombie nose. And so that is what I'm doing right here. I'm actually applying the glue to the nose piece like I've been doing the whole time. You know, you can do either way. You can apply it to the skin or you can apply it to the prosthetic. Either way, you can do both. Blah blah blah. I'm just doing this because it's easier with these smaller pieces. I'm just going to apply it, and I simply just applied it to the piece, and now I'm laying down the piece with some Prosaid around the edges, just sealing off the pieces. And again, I'm just getting a little bit of Bondo Stipple. This is where I had a problem because my eyebrows were showing just a little bit up under the prosthetic. Because to get it to fit, I had to show a little bit of my eyebrow. So what I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of this Bondo Stipple, and I'm going to smooth it out and sort of try to hide these hairs that are coming from below. And now I'm drying again with my airbrush. So I smooth out a little bit of Bondo Stipple over the hair to hide the, you know, the little stubblies or the hair that's right up under. And I think it worked pretty well. And now again, I'm using the Mel PPI paint, and I'm blending it. And so I'm trying to make it look, you know, it's just similar to my skin tone. Not exact. It's not going to be exact. It takes a lot more work to do that. All right, now check this out right here. I'm going to do my first layer of paint. So this is the European Body Art Endura Undead Face Off Airbrush Paint. This is, I think I'm using just like a corpse color, like a dead flesh color. And I'm just doing, you know, just a layer of it on. I'm trying to just flatten out my skin, you know, give me a base tone, and then I will go over with other colors. So I'm just, you know, just basically just trying to blend everything together. Make it all a clean slate, make it all one. And I'm doing it with an airbrush. And now, okay, these are basically bruise wheels and other types of like cream makeup wheels that I put into a little holder. I took them all out of the bruise wheels and I put them in this little holder. And so Now what I'm doing is I'm using it around the eyes, because I like to use this like cream makeup around my eyes and stuff, because it's easier to go on and I don't have to worry about the 99% alcohol. And so what I'm doing is here I'm starting out with like a brown color, just to add just different colors to the undertones of the zombie. So now I'm going in with some browns. I'm thinning it out with a little bit of 99% alcohol. Just, a little tiny bit of it, just so it smooths out and it's really thin layers. And then I'm just filling in the gaps. I'm basically going in and, just sculling myself out. If that makes sense to you, I'm sculling myself out, meaning that I'm adding just basically shadow areas, I guess. So I'm using two brushes here. I'm using one of Thomas's brushes, as well as V Neal's line of brushes, one of her stipple brushes, small stipple brushes. It's a very nice brush. So is Thomas's. I use a lot of bdellium brushes. And right there I'm fixing a problem that I had. My finger stuck to the prosthetic and pulled it up a little bit, so I just go in and fix it. It happens. But the good thing about zombie is if there's a hole in the prosthetic, you're good. Don't really worry about it. You're a zombie. Just make it bleed or something. It's very easy to hide. Now I'm going in with more of the bruise wheel. This is like a purple color. I'm just tossing it in there, just light undertones. Nothing too harsh, just light colors. Using this purple right here, just going in, sculling myself out. And I tried to do this makeup real quick. It was really late at night when I started this, and I knew it was going to be early in the morning when I was done, and finally got it off. All right, we jumped ahead a little bit. So, I've just been stippling this purple all around my face. Just in areas where I want the purple. I sort of want the skull area to stand out a little bit more, and so I'm leaving purple off of that. And now I'm using another one of Thomas's brushes, is smaller stipple brush, and just stippling that purple all over. Now detail brush, I'm going in trying to draw some details and some lines on my head. Just a little bit, not going too harsh. And this to me, it just looks terrible right here. And every time I do makeup, it's just I get down on myself. I'm like, wow, this is looking really bad. Hopefully this comes out all right. But generally it's always going to look bad until you really start working the magic towards the end, doing all the detail and finishing it up. And see, I just did my lips right there. I just put a little bit of Nye Bruise wheel, a little bit of purple on my lips and my nose and in my ear and on my ears. All right, I'm looking more zombie right here. I'm just stippling this purple all around. Alright, now I'm going back in with the European Body Art Dead Flesh, the Undead series that they have for Face Off. And then I'm just giving me a light brushing of this all over to even everything out, to knock down some of the purples, to just flatten everything out. And this is how I do things. People do stuff different. I wanted to try a lot of products this tutorial. I wanted to use pretty much everything I had laid out, and that's what I did. I used anything. And now what I'm doing right here, this is the Premier Products. I think I'm using a Necromania palette, and then now I'm going over with another color, maybe like a ghastly color, just stippling it all around the skin with the large stipple brush. Just sort of blending everything together, making it one. Blending it all together, and then I'll go over it with more colors. Like these are my undertones, and then I'll go over with some a little bit brighter colors. So now it's really starting to come out. It's really starting to, you know, look unified and not choppy and not all weird. So it's really starting to come together now. This is, you know, Premiere Products Scale Illustrator palettes. I think I used 2 on this one. I used the Zombie palette and I used the Necro palette. Those are my 2 favorite. Even though I do have others, those I use quite a bit. And now I'm using probably the Necro palette right here, and I'm flaking some colors on. Just give a little bit of detail, you know, to break up the skin, to break up, you know, colors, just to add, you know, just flakes so it looks more natural, like a little more natural skin, you know, texture. It probably doesn't make any sense what I'm talking about right now, but you'll get it. You'll see the final product has a lot of color just spattered on it, and it looks really nice. And the colors I use a lot of colors to spatter. Some people don't use as much. I use like browns, grays, blues, greens, yellows. I just picked my nose right there. Did you see that? But I use all those colors, and then I just toss them on there, and it really makes it look really nice. Okay, now I'm still going in with the Premiere Products palettes. I'm using Lividity. You just saw me stipple on a little bit of Lividity. I really like Lividity. It's a really great purpley red color. And I start speckling. Maybe I'm using Lividity. I think I'm using Lividity right here too to add some details. Lividity is a great Premiere Products color. It's multi-purpose color with zombies and other monsters. Stippling, it's non-stop. I got my contacts in, and now I'm gonna throw in the teeth. This is just a test. This isn't the final makeup. I just wanted to test out the teeth and the eyes all together. The final makeup is oh, that looks really nice. I made these teeth, by the way. They're, you know, really awesome. I love them. So this is the final makeup. I ended up doing some coloring off camera, so I added a lot more color towards the end. I just didn't get it on camera. I know it's stupid. I should have videoed it. I had the contacts in, and they were irritating me, and then I was in a hurry. It was already like 3 something. So this is the final look. I added much more color into it, and then more spattering, a lot more spattering than the last scene that you just saw. But yeah, this is it. You know, I feel like I could have done better with the paint job, but overall, this is a zombie. It looks pretty good. The RBFX appliances, 3 pieces, all great. You gotta check them out, guys. All the information will be below. You can find them on motionpictureeffects.com. Really great prosthetics. Love them. So this is it. Oh, spitting them out now. There it goes. I made those teeth. Looks really nice. Thanks for watching, guys. This was awesome. All the information will be below. Subscribe to my channel. Do it. Awesome. What's going on, guys? This is Sydney Cumbie, and if you enjoyed this half-assed tutorial, well, guess what? You're in luck, because there's so many more. So make sure you guys click on the links, as well as subscribe to my channel.